The Board of Education members aren't here in quorum. Duke's here, Katie's here, I'm here, anybody else? All right, well, 3 of us are on time, we'll go for it. All right, so I will hand it over to Summer.
So welcome, thank you for coming out so bright and early to look at this beautiful school. Thanks to everyone for their support in keeping it beautiful, and we are very proud of some of the things that we did last year, and it's great to move forward with improvements. So thank everyone, and welcome.
Well, good morning, everybody. And what we wanted to show everybody here, last year the capital project for this building included carpeting and redoing the main office, which we did, and running the gas line up into the building and into the boiler rooms, which is complete except for, we're waiting for Eversource to come with the meter, and that's supposed to be sometime this week. So what they did was they ran a gas main up from west, up through one of the streets in the back, across the back of the property and into the building. So we can look at the main office here, and now look at the gas piping, and we walk down this hallway. The only capital project we have for this year, for this building, is that we're going to change all the lighting in the hallways out to LED. And one of these units, this one here is our experiment. We put it in a little while ago to see how it worked. And it's pretty bright, and it's actually got, that's the middle setting. You can have a lower setting or a higher setting, or this one, and this is the middle setting. So we can give a quick look here. Anybody wants to see how the beautiful office came out? When we get down to Tokeneke and Royale, you can see the newer lights we're putting in.
So there will be new lights here too, right?
Yes, all the hallways,
Okay. Do they save
cafeteria,
money?
a lot of money.
Okay.
We're taking these off the walls and putting them in the ceilings here, just for a better look. So we can run gas or #2 oil.
Whatever's most expensive, the least expensive.
Yes. And the town was very helpful in getting the gas mains installed and run out as part of a project they were doing with Eversource. They included the schools that ran along the gas line.
How much are we saving?
We're estimating that we're going to save about 28% of our fuel costs each year at a minimum. Yeah. And the gas main was run up to right outside the school, no charge. It was part of the contract that the town had.
Where's the gas coming in? It's on gas now, right?
It's not hooked up yet because we don't have the meter, but it comes in on the side of the building.
Okay.
I thought if we walked out the door, we could look at it, then walk to the cars.
And these are the old oil.
New burners.
Okay.
The boilers are the ones that were put in 1999, and they're still in excellent condition. So there was no reason to change them.
So the gas is all the way here and hooked up, but we can't use it until we get a meter?
That's right.
When are they doing that?
Next week, we hope.
The gas is already piped to the school?
Yes. I'll show you to come outside. I can show you. Company installing the gas line agreed to.
I've done it. Have you ever done one?
This is my first tour. Okay, yep.
It goes in there. It's a closet. And right inside on the other side of the wall is a shutoff valve.
Great.
And then it goes out in the hallway.
The ceiling is the front.
Instead of coming through the whole cafeteria.
Right, that's what I thought we were doing.
Right. Right, well, see, they dug around,
Great.
came in.
Oh, great. Well, that's much better.
Yeah.
I can't, no, I look at the set of work.
Less
You're all
expensive and, it's done.
We're 100% done with the gas here, right?
Except for the meter. The meter should be coming this week.
Okay.
The regulators were put in on Wednesday. Piping was done over the February break, southside piping by Eversource. Our work was done in November. This line was brought up in August, and the meter has to go here. That's all that's left. They put the meter here, and then they put a shut off here.
I like that we're almost done.
We're almost done.
Just a meter.
And now we can go to Hindley.
That's where the pipe is?
Yes. Pipe runs.
Comes up one of the side streets. What's that?
There's two streets over there, Ridgely and Hilton.
Hilton, right. Yeah.
Comes up Hilton, I guess it is. And then there's the corner of the property, there's like a little path that the kids always cut through.
Oh, you're right.
Okay, it comes up there, and it's on the very perimeter of the wood line. So if there's any further expansion or the 9/11 memorial, we don't want any disturbance with that. So it comes around, loops in.
Did a nice job on the filling in.
We want to get it.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Julie Droller, the interim principal here at Hindley. I'm excited to have such a big crowd here today. This is my first walkthrough, so I have the list of what you'd like to look at, and we're here for any questions. Dennis Kopak, the head custodian here at Hindley, I'm sure you've all met. And of course, Dr. Landon and Mr. Feeney and Mr. Lynch are joining us, and I know you know all of them. So let's go.
Let's go. Okay, first thing I want to show everybody is the last year's capital project included changing out the ceilings, actually installing ceilings in the 1976 classrooms and putting in LED lighting. And so we have the three rooms that we did over there, 101, 108, and 107.
And is the LED lighting? It does.
Amazing. Not a sunny day. It's amazing how the difference.
Mr. Genius, my daughter Elizabeth.
Hey Elizabeth, how are you? Very nice to meet you. And there is a brand new sump pump in the basement of this building that replaced the unit from the original construction.
We believe you.
Thank you. For the same reason I didn't take pictures of the roof, but just so people know, the makeup air unit to be replaced is when you turn the hood fan on in the kitchen, you have to bring in air and then temper it so it's not freezing in there when they're trying to cook. That unit is on its last legs. It runs on propane. The kitchen is still on propane. The rest of this building runs on natural gas. We're replacing that with a natural gas unit. And the roof of the 1947 building is from the common room cafeteria area down towards the new addition. That roof is starting to show some leakage. It's sort of blistering up on the roof. It's an older type of hot tar roof, and so we're going to start the process of changing that roof out.
Has there been any damage to any classrooms or anything because the roof leaks?
There was some damage on paint and plaster in a classroom up on the second floor, 207? 208. And we did the repair there, and there was no, it was just a little paint peeling off the plaster, and that's been repaired.
Is the roof asbestos that you have to take out?
No, it's not. The roof is It's newer from when they stopped using asbestos in the roof materials. The original roof on the building was abated years ago. And so the next thing I just wanted to show was, there was a truck out front that left about 2 minutes ago. He was actually finishing the digital control work that was approved in last year's capital budget. And phase 2 or phase 3, which is in this year's budget to be approved, is the 1996 edition, this classroom, and the 2 office areas in the front, to put them all on the same computer program. So we could just look at one of the classrooms down at the end of the hallway, and we can show you there's a control in the room, and there's all electronic valves, and it's controlled through a computer. And we also have thermostats set in different spots in the building, so even if some room is not going to work, it's going to overheat, we're going to limit the overheating so that we don't have these. When I came here, there were, 60-degree classrooms and 90-degree classrooms on any given day, and we've kind of got them so they're all in the 70s now. So we'll just walk, and I'll show a quick classroom with the control unit. The computer is located in the basement, and Dennis has that same program on his computer, so he doesn't have to run to the basement anytime somebody has a problem.
What happens when they're
That works off the generator. Yeah, we have certain lighting, the boiler, the generator, the boiler, the elevator, kitchen equipment, a server for the computers, and all that works off the generator. So here is, you should be able to see this. All right. This is the new control unit, and this unit here controls that radiator and that unit ventilator over there behind those book bags. And every classroom has one of these thermostats, and it's really just a sensor that goes back to the computer in the boiler room. That's where the programming is done. Like I said, Dennis can look at this from his office. It's actually going to be networkable so that in the future, the foreman, Jimmy Stamatis, and myself, and the HVAC technicians can look at these remotely. If somebody calls us and says, I got a problem, I could go on my phone and look up and see what the problem is. So, like I said, we're complete with the 47 and the 1976 editions and all the work that had to be done in the boiler room. The next phase is the 1996 part of the building.
Hey, Mike, just have a question. What's the square footage of this room, roughly?
This room is about, I don't know, what was it, 820, 824. This is a bathroom. This was the nurse's office, and this was the faculty room. And we made it into a classroom when we moved the nurse to the front of the building. This became one of the first grade rooms. And just to reuse, we took all these cabinets out of what was the classroom, and the unit ventilator came out of that room also, so we didn't have to buy new stuff. So,
Thanks.
okay. And these windows, just to point them out, these are these windows were, in the other schools, the windows, like at Royal and Holmes, when they did the renovations in 1996, they replaced the windows. These windows were replaced about 10 or 15 years earlier. And they're scheduled, the job's been awarded, the shop drawings are in with the architect to get approvals, and there's no day camps or anything in this building this summer. We've moved them out, and the work is supposed to be done starting the day school ends.
So how many windows are going to be replaced?
I think it's 64 in total in this building, and then there's that whole wraparound set of windows in the library.
Is that what those triangles and stuff are?
The triangles, actually, those are, there's metal and glass inside windows that were clipped on, but as the windows have gotten a little wobblier, we put those little triangles up there to keep them from falling out. And we also put, if you look in the corner there, you see a little piece of wood up there. We put stops on them to limit how high they can go. Yeah, so it's time. This room is scheduled to get one, and we have in the window bid that the AC units have to be put back in. That's part of the bid. And that's it.
Hey, Mike, when you, the 500 grand for like the new air unit, the 500 grand for like the new air unit that goes in the ventilator?
No, that's not here, that's,
Jack, what are these green things for?
Oh, the air unit in the kitchen.
No?
that's not $500,000.
Oh, let's replace the fresh air unit on the top at Henley of the roof.
There's a rooftop fresh air unit that served the original building in lieu of unit ventilators. That was decommissioned when they put the 1996 edition on. It wasn't replaced with anything.
So Mike, there's some other ventilation related projects like either level 2, level 3, like out in years 22, 23. Is it, you have to look into, does it make sense? Is it cheaper to do them all at once? Kind of advance some of these projects? Are there any economies of scale or do these
There's
just-
probably very little economy of scale, but it's more a matter of, is there one mechanical contracting company that's big enough to do all three in a compressed summer time frame while still running all the summer programs that we support or run? And the answer is you can't. You just, you know, a couple years ago, we were doing the window repairs, all the balances, because the windows weren't working. And even that was difficult to do. And that was really just a couple guys very unobtrusively going around to all the buildings in the district. It was just hard to do it all and keep the regular functioning that goes on with the programs plus the building cleaning. And that's number that's out there like at 3. That's more like a placeholder right now because, you know, the district facilities committee has to decide what the scope of any work on this building is going to be. And that might come out of the capital and become part of those projects. So that's just kind of there to make people aware that it's there.
Quick question, just because somebody asked me. Is there any reason why we have like balloon strings hanging from the ceiling?
It's decoration.
Yeah, I don't know if it's used for something or...
No, sometimes the teachers will have these little clips that they hang stuff for decorations, different seasonal things and different syllabuses for whatever they're doing in the classroom.
Question that was asked.
You said there's a gas leaking. Is that a project that's already being addressed or needs to be?
We fixed the leak, but in assessing the roof last fall, it's nearing the end of its useful life. It's starting to show other areas that could potentially be problems.
So the roof is coming.
Yes.
Should we look at that? Can we look at it? We have to go up there and look at it.
If anybody wants to, I'll take them up there. I mean, it's from inside the building you can get to it, but it's, you gotta go up a little narrow scuttle and I'm happy to go. So, is there any other questions here? On to central office. There are 3 different types of exterior lighting on the walkways and the parking lots. Several of the walkway ones don't work, and it's a fairly new type of lighting, but even so, we can't get the repair parts for it. The parking lot lights have different types of heads that are put on them. We've had some issues with the wiring over the years. There's not enough lighting in the back parking lot at all. So this project calls for putting in LED heads on all the lighting, which is what we did in this building and Holmes and the high school a couple years ago. New timers to operate the lights that work more in sync with daylight savings time instead of people going downstairs and moving pins on a timer every few months to try to keep up with daylight. And we'll have more reliable lighting we can control better, and lighting that's more energy efficient. and still keep the same smaller height poles, et cetera, because we're in kind of a residential neighborhood.
Mike, I have a question, and I know you covered it last year, but because we have new people coming, covering and it's being filmed also. There's a new requirement for the size of the classroom. Can you go over that again? Because I know that's going to affect Oxbridge, and when we were looking to redo this in Royal, I think we talked about it. Can you just review that again, so what the size is and that? I mean, I think it was...
They have minimum sizes for pre-K and kindergarten. A minimum size for special needs classroom, and a minimum size for a regular elementary classroom. And off the top of my head, I don't want to be misquoted, but an elementary classroom should be 900 square feet.
That's what I...
And
This is 820.
this is 820, this room right here. And as you can see, there's not a whole lot of space. This is a first grade classroom. You know, the kids aren't here, the aides aren't here, the teacher isn't here. A kindergarten and first grade classroom and elementary, you know, pre-K, they want between 11 and 1,200 square feet, and there's a preference for self-contained bathrooms in the classrooms in addition to, with a minimum square footage of those bathrooms being, I believe, 60 square feet. So most of the classrooms, especially like at Oxbridge, which we toured last week, they're inadequate in size.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that, if I recall, and just since this is being recorded and there's new members on the RTM and we are looking at the building committee, I thought that it's important to reiterate that so that people remember what those numbers are. Thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So if we go to Royal School, the sump pump is actually very visible. We don't have to take pictures.
Oh, God.
I can show it all.
Oh, yeah. I want to take a picture.
Okay, so on to Royal.
Because it's only a parking lot.
Yep. He's going to take a couple hours. Yeah, we pulled into Hindley. He was just packing up. Morning. That's good.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Royal Elementary. Thank you for coming out. I'm glad we had nice weather. Sorry there's not a lot of exciting things to look at, but I'll let Mike Lynch tell you what you're going to see.
Well, good morning again. So here at this building, last year's capital project was changing up the corridor lighting to LED, which we did. So you can see an example of what it's going to look like at middle school next year. We also, the parking lot lights in this building are original to 1996, and there's 2 dead shorts in the parking lot underground over here, and we're going to change out all the lights and replace the wiring where it's shorted out. And in this building, if we go out this way to look at the parking lot, I can show you something else we're going to work on with the parking lot. And I can open a door and you can look in and see a sump pump that's exactly like the one at Hindley. So we'll just walk down the hallway this way.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
With the switch here to LED, what percentage are you anticipating to save on your electric? I mean, have we calculated what the return on investment is?
The return on investment is, we did because we filed this through a program with Eversource, and we actually got a 10% rebate on the construction cost. The return on investment is 2.38 years.
Okay.
And and the light fixtures are however many decades they're going to last. The actual diodes, the electronic diodes, are guaranteed for 5 years. So we're going to do good with this project.
Here.
You know what I like? I have this, you know that necklace? Turn on
I saw her one of the events and she came in and I was like,
These lights in here, the teachers came back and folks put in the new floor, they built drains, everything.
Lights makes all the difference.
It looks really
Busy.
Briefly, as always happens, about a month and a half after we paved this parking lot 2 years ago, the electric line shorted out between that double-headed pole and that single-headed pole on the island. So we've located where the short is, and we have to do a little minor surgery there. In addition to that, underneath that puddle of water is the electric manhole. It's the junction box. So we've got to raise that up and get that out of the water. And we're going to do those two things first, and then we're going to change all the heads. You buy a complete kit for about $1,300. We have our own lifts, we have our own licensed electrician, and we'll do the work ourselves. But that's what that item in the budget is. And Hector, the head custodian here, who does an absolutely fabulous job, he opened up the boiler room door. So if you go in and look to your left, you'll see a blue sump pump sticking out of the ground, and that's
This one does.
this is the sump pump. The new piping comes up to here and over here. There's check valves in it, new electric feeding it. This sump pump goes about 8 or 9 feet down into a pit, because this school building, when it was built on farmland, and most farmland was built on wet ground or ground that had a lot of water nearby, because it had to be irrigated, very primitive methods. So this pump runs pretty much all year round. The old one worked from 1948 until a short while ago.
So there's never really water in here.
No, there's no water in here.
It's
Not at all.
underneath.
It's underneath. It's about 8 or 9 feet down.
24/7.
Did you say 1928?
48. The original pump ran from 48. We rebuilt it once, and when we rebuilt it, there were parts that were wearing, and the guy said, you can't even get these parts anymore. But it did still work. This one worked when we pulled it out. The one at Hinder just came on.
Mike, quick question on the actual boiler. We were going to go for natural gas here.
I'm so short, I don't even duck.
No, this was not part of the town's project. It originally was thought of, and then they costed it out, and Eversource said we can't do it.
Okay.
But to answer your other question, this unit right here, coming out, is the gas train. This is a dual fuel boiler.
Right.
So if and when Eversource does agree to put gas here, we're ready for it.
Okay. Thank you.
It's part of the extension project. They're going to bring it up McLaren and be poised to connect here.
I'm telling you, it's the reason I bought my house, because it was natural gas. It was the reason I bought it. That was the only thing I wanted after having 25 years of oil. I wanted natural gas.
Where did you say? Where does the gas main run? Well, right, it's already in Leroy, all the way from West Avenue, and it went up Leroy to connect to the Darien High School. And so it's going to come up McLaren, so that it can be poised to connect here.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
It does not run up Mansfield. Does not run up. That's a state road. That's a different.
How many years is it? Pardon? How many years before it gets here?
It's actually parts of the gas line should be activated this spring. Yeah, it's here.
Yeah, middle school, the gas line's activated on West, and I don't think it's activated at the high school yet, but it's close. Yeah.
Such a difference. Such a difference.
This gas line is done too. Are
we going to go to the cafeteria? It's great.
Well, Well, Miss Dunn, it's your building
Long
to
time no
start.
see. I feel like
It's my building.
Welcome.
Baseball field. It's our baseball. I want to talk about the field with Chris.
all right.
Everybody's here.
Chris, do you want to come with Ellen and Mike just in case there's questions on the field?
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. Good morning. Hi.
Okay, so the original baseball field was a parent donation, and it was installed about 11 years ago. And you know, the useful life of that type of turf was 8 to 10 years. We got 10 years out of it, and planned capital project, put in a new field. This is pretty much state of the art. It's multi-purpose. It's called the Cool Play. It's similar to the Stadium East and to the contest stadium and the two fields up in the old one. So it's laid out for varsity baseball, 90-foot base paths, and it's also laid out with a field hockey field. And it's completed except for this little white edging, kind of keeps the rubber crumbs in and the debris out. The detail isn't correct, and so they've got to come back and redo that. The pitcher's mound was built yesterday, and when they finished it yesterday, what they do is they keep it covered when they're not using it, so it doesn't get muddy if it rains like it did last night.
So Mike, what do we do with that entranceway where it gets muddy?
See the pile of dirt there? That's gravel?
Yep.
We're going to spread that out. We were getting ready to do it before the snow, so now we got to wait, but we will do it. But nobody's going, they don't go in and out that way. There's pedestrian entrances down further where those coaches have their cars parked.
Okay.
They come in and out that way. And
The biggest difference of this, the old field, if you remember, had an all clay pitcher's mound and an all clay batter's box. So we decided to take the clay batter's box out, so it's a turf batter's box now, which is better for wear and tear because the clay would kind of get, especially on rain, would mix with the turf. But baseball asked for it to still have the clay pitcher's mound, so we kept the clay mound and took out the clay batter's box. And we also have the stitched in line, which is nice for field hockey, because the freshmen will play their games down here, and JV and freshmen will practice down here as well.
So what is this metal thing here?
This is the foul pole.
Okay.
That's the foul pole for baseball.
Okay. I know nothing about it.
okay, so basically,
What does that mean?
if the batter hits that with a ball, it's a home run.
That side it's in play. If it comes on this side of that pole, it's foul
It's
pole.
out of play.
We need a soccer field. I have a feeling for it. It's gonna be okay.
And if you hit it, it's a home run.
I'd rather see grass growing.
Is the way the water comes there a problem? Like, is it going under the field?
Right, we keep that covered.
The base of an artificial turf field is a gigantic drain.
That's
all it is. Side to side, it's about 1.5 feet of gravel.
Everything else is turf.
Piping under it. It goes to
Everything is turf, even the batter's box.
basins. Yeah, it's a
The old
drain.
batter's box is
The whole thing, all this snow can melt
We
go
sat now
under.
with the turf.
No, not at all. Not at all.
There's no grass left, and then we'll throw the gravel in. All right,
Oh, the D is new as well. I forgot to point out the D in center
Well, we
field.
could walk by
Which is
the
new, yeah.
gas main and go in the auditorium entrance.
Yes. All right, guys, we're going to do the gas main and then into the auditorium, so we don't lose anybody.
A woman. Yeah.
Okay, so people asked about seeing the gas line. This cut in the blacktop here, this is the 6-inch gas main. It's the same town project that brought gas to Middlesex, and we'll be bringing it to Royal in a couple of years. It comes in this way, up this way, and then runs up through the courtyard. And when we walk in the auditorium lobby, you can see up on the top by the greenhouse. That's where the gas meter is going to be placed.
Mike, when does that go in? Do you have a plan for the
This
gas
is it.
main? Yeah.
The dual fuel burners arrived on Wednesday, and we started installing them. We've got one about 80% installed, the other two are sitting there, and we thought we would install one, get it running, install the other, get it running. I don't have a firm date yet with the guy that's doing the welding to bring the pipe into the building, but he's he needs about a week, so he's almost thinking maybe the April break, just to he can weld without impacting the kids at all. Okay, that's where the, no, those orange are actually buckets. Right around the corner is where the gas line comes up.
Okay.
And then it's going to come around the corner towards the window and go down. Because right below that's the boiler room.
Me too. I think it's great. All great. Isn't it? It's great. Fabulous. Beautiful, right? Yeah, fabulous.
So this is what the nano wall opening will look like. Just multiply it by these middle lengths here. And the terrace area has to be covered with a colored material to make it look like a brick. And put the picnic tables back.
Can you rent the space for events?
Actually, sure. With use program, facilities rental and stuff.
Yeah. So this is the old wall, right?
That's the old wall right there, yeah. And there were this style looking windows went all across here. That area there was the factory room, and the area behind it was where the vending machines were. But this was the wall. And
Where's the faculty now?
we took a computer room that was going to be utilized.
Pretty nice, huh? Beats that open.
Change that back. They actually got relocated. They're happy.
Yeah, no.
No, it's totally new.
green roof installed?
This green roof on the original building is actual soil and grass. This green roof is trays of what do they call them, succulents that will flower and they'll get about this tall in the summer and then go back down like that.
Well, the soil is eventually full furniture. Like, is that how I thought of? There's no pool. That's the sort of
Probably not. I mean, it's rubber, so it's not really going to deteriorate. But they don't really do them that way anymore. They do them with the modular trays.
That adds too.
There's been a request to see the green roof. So if anybody wants to go up the stairs on either side, you can see the green roof over the new addition.
Why not? It's their facility. I think it should be part of the... It's hard to believe it's only March. I like this weather. It's almost like being in Southern California.
probably be 160.
Hey, Mike, when
Jimmy got the key to make copies on Thursday.
will it blow? You have any clue when it might bloom?
Probably May.
May?
Yeah.
It's really cool that they open, but the fact that it looks so easy to do it.
It is. You just have to watch when you grab this because it's right by a seam.
No,
So you don't want to
it's
get your pinch
set
your
up so
fingers.
that anything that comes across there that has any bad language in it, you can't play. Brilliant.
Is everybody in now?
And so
Yeah, I
we're
think
working
so.
on the playlists and we have a lot of fun making that like that. But it's a happy place, so easy. It's good. Thank you very much for all your support.
There we go.
All right, are we ready, Mr. Lynch?
Everybody seen the green roof?
Yes.
All right, so I'll give it a quick while we're getting ready to go to Holmes. Okay, before we go to Holmes, the last item on this list is the clock system. It's been an issue since the building opened. It's an older style wired clock system with little repeaters and power boosters, etc. It really doesn't work correctly. We're going to put in a wireless system similar to the one we put in at Middlesex a few years ago. The one at Middlesex, I've had to replace one clock in 3 years. So instead of this building where it's 3 a month. So we've already got the company designing the wireless system. So come when the funds are available, we can purchase it. And it's a reliable vendor, same guy we used before. He's on the state bid, and it's a very quick installation. And it does synchronize with the bell systems that the schools use. So we'll be good to go.
Where are the clocks? They're not in here yet, or?
No, the clocks are mostly in the classrooms, the gymnasiums, the auditorium has them. I don't think there's one in here. There's not really hallway clocks in this building.
They all look at their phones.
For testing, I think for testing they need it because they can't have their phones. Yeah, but like if that's.
we don't need clocks?
No, it's mostly for testing. You do need the clocks for testing.
We're gonna take them out of your house. Just to see. You'll be our tester on the Palin household.
So we go to home school? Hi, Rich.
Good morning, welcome. Hi. Good.
It's being gonna be demolished and so we got that.
It's a big party, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Trucks out front, and I guess they filmed some smoke.
Yes, we
What they are.
ladder operation, practice rescuing. Where's the house?
That's right. It's Julie Lowe.
Yes,
Welcome to Holmes School. I'm Paula Blakely, the principal here. I'd like to introduce Mike Lynch. He's going to take us on a tour of the things that we'll be looking at for today on the facilities tour. So we may have one or two more people still coming.
A few more coming, so while we're waiting for them to show up, progress on the new roof and skylight was approved at a last year's capital project. The plans and specifications are done, and as part of the process to apply for grant money is that you get local authority approval, and they were dropped off Thursday morning to Town Hall. One copy for the Fire Marshal's office, one copy for the Board of Health, one copy which starts off in planning and zoning, and then goes across the hall to the building department. So that process is underway, and in spite of all the cuts, et cetera, being discussed up in Hartford with the grant process, re-roofing of a school building is something that's still going to be funded at the levels that they were funded at previously. So, yes.
What percentage is that?
It's 20.38 for us. So it's well worth the project.
Does that include 35 Leroy, which I know we were waiting for the shovel
Yes,
to be done?
that project does have grant authority approval, but, actually, I made a mistake, it's 20.73. 10.38 is the central office roof because it's not used for instruction. We do have that grant commitment from the state in hand. The project's been bid, and it's supposed to start April 1st.
Right, I know we were waiting for the audit to be completed before we could move forward on that, which was part of the delay.
Yeah.
And Mike or Dr. Landau, I'm not sure who's here, but in terms of other capital projects, like that might be level 2 or be pushed out next year, like have we thought about the fact that this money may not be here next year? Like have we thought about advancing any of them because we can save 20%?
I did a quick look. A lot of the projects that are like the HVAC type, the large things like that, they're not grantable. They're considered a repair. The roofing projects, they are, but I don't think you save or make enough money to pay for removing a roof that's not due to be removed. You'd lose that side of the equation. You know, you pay a lot of money, we're supposed to last X number of years. You cut those years down, you're losing that money. The grant money, does it equal it? In most cases, no. And the state is also making it a lot more. They've just changed the grant funding process. So all new projects have to go through this new process, and a lot of school districts in the area are starting to look at hiring grant funding consultants because it's so difficult and nuanced that for the average municipality and school board working together, it's impossible without some outside help.
I think our board's been pretty vocal, so if you do have construction projects that you need and you think you should advance, and we can save 20% because that state grant money is likely not going to be here in the future years, let's just make sure we think about those.
Oh, yeah, we did.
You know, I think if the board, it's my own personal opinion, not the board's, but if the Board of Finance said, beat the deadline, I'm sure we'd be happy to look at our capital projects and move them up.
Well, I think, Jamie, I think we said in a number of our meetings, if you have projects that you need, for security, for overhaul, stuff like that, particularly ones that qualify for grants, like we have the ability to bond over up to 20 years, so let's not wait if we can save 20%.
So Jim, could you maybe help us and just clarify with the whole Board of Finance if that's their position? And if so, if there's anything to accelerate, we'll sit down and put pencil and paper and come to you and talk to you about it.
Yeah, I think everybody was clear on that. I mean, to Mike's point, if something doesn't need to be done, we don't want to do useless projects, but if something's just sitting in level 2 or sitting in the next year because it gets afraid to be brought forth as, like in a given year, like bring it forward. Let's consider the effect of the grant and let's consider the effect of bonding.
Yeah, I don't think we're afraid, but as long as that's the will, if there's something that's really of need and the Board of Finance feels that way, we're happy to sit down and do the work and bring it to you if we find something.
I don't have the exact dates, but I think Jamie's been pretty vocal about
Yeah, he has.
I do, though, want to just make sure that we understand the timing here, if timing is an issue. Is it that you want that we have to have all this done by June 30th in order to have the effective on the grant, or is it something that can be brought off cycle after that date? So that's what I want to understand, because that does affect what the Board of Ed does, and whether or not we're dealing with it in May or whether or not we're doing it in our June meeting, because whatever goes through you eventually comes through us. So it would be good to know what the timing is, and is something going to change after June 30th?
Mr. Feeney, do you know if there's, or is there a specific time you have it in?
Well, if we get to June 30, then we know we're in good shape. That's one of the issues we have with the Oxbridge building permit, whether we can get all the data in a time. But on these smaller projects, I think we can come up with pretty good estimates that everybody could buy into, and we can move forward on them. For example, the guard
Well, let's see. I love that. I love that enthusiasm. We'll go put pencil to paper. If we can get something to the Board of Finance and the RTM in the right process, we'll do that.
Yeah, I think when you outline these projects, you should indicate maybe which ones are eligible for a grant and which ones are not.
And then also, which one of those might fit into town financing, a bonding package? Would be important to lay that out. Mike, I'm intrigued by your comment about some schools hiring grant administrators. That sounds like a very interesting idea to pursue in terms of a shared service with perhaps another district, grant personnel, if we don't have it on staff currently.
Yeah, the way the companies are doing it, they're doing project by project over multiple districts, but I understand your point of sharing, sure.
So there's not grant personnel like on retainer for towns, it's an actual building project because I think they've been approached.
Correct. Right now, we know there is one company working with Norwalk Public Schools. There is another company working with Fairfield. I think one of those two companies is also working with Bridgeport. Just another aside on the grant process, as far as security goes, that's a totally separate grant process. It's competitive. We've applied for cycle number 2, and we got a 28% reimbursement, and we've applied for cycle number 4, which was due in November, and they were going to have the results out in the first week of February, and they've pushed that announcement out till the end of March. So, but that's strictly competitive. It's X number of dollars, and who's got the most complete grant, and who needs the money the most. We did get it the first time. We'll see what happens.
Mike, is school security only reimbursable through a competitive grant, or is it also considered as part of a regular capital building grant process as well?
If it was buildings you were building, like guardhouse type structure, or totally redoing the front entrance of a building, it would be a capital project. It would have to go through the state capital vetting process. The project we went through was totally different. I applied for the grant with the police department because they do the security assessment of the buildings. So I met with them. We reassessed all the buildings in September to make sure that we were following the requirements and the suggestions of the police department, and then they sign off on that, and they sign off on the work that we've done, that it follows that same policy, and then we apply, and you sit and wait.
Can I go back to something else just so I understand? We do not currently have somebody in our staff that just is doing grants. So we take it as a project by project for filling out the grant application. Okay.
With respect to grants, hiring a grant consultant begs a question to the legislature. Why does the process have to be so convoluted that districts have to hire consultants to apply for grants?
Way to go, Paul.
That's a point that, too bad we're not passing up to Hartford on this film. Since Hartford seems to be worried more about how towns should run efficiently as opposed to the state.
Well, there's certain...
Having been on the opposite side of the table with them.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our homes. How about
Yeah.
Do we want to go to the library first?
Mr. Payne?
Library first.
For what? Given that we bought this property here a couple years ago, like, has there been any thought in terms of what we might do with it, in terms of like staff parking or anything now that we have that empty lot there?
So I think that's a conversation between the town that owns the property and the schools, and we'd be happy to have it when we find a need.
Like, is there a need here for staff parking? Because I mean, I drop my kid off in the morning.
There's a need for parent
This is a circus
parking.
here. So like,
So we will need to hear that need from Holmes, which the board hasn't done through the administration. So once Holmes is ready to present the need, they can do it through the administration.
I think we
Or
were
you'll talk to
waiting
them.
for the property to get moved over to Board of Ed, so if that's the wrong process, then we should tell you first.
Yeah, so then the administration should circle out.
Okay.
I think we'll always own the property.
That would be the wrong process.
As a parent, I'm happy to send you an email which you can forward to the Board of Ed.
It's okay, we're good. Thank you.
You know our emails, Mr. Chairman.
We'll work it out.
People should remember that the town owns all of the school buildings, and they are not owned by the Board of Ed. There's an agreement, and somebody here can tell me what the exact words are again for operations management.
Care, custody, and control.
Thank you.
I think we changed it to care, maintenance,
And control, right. But all buildings are owned by the town, regardless if they're managed by the Board of Ed or the town itself.
Yeah. So when we have a need, we'd be happy to present to the town for usage, and they've been great about accommodating those requests.
Okay, so we ready? Yeah. Okay, so over here is the cafeteria / common room, and there's two ways of heating it. One is perimeter baseboard radiation. The other is the rooftop unit, which is heating and powered ventilation. That unit was put on as a standalone system when the cafeteria was built. It does not work. It does not match anything we have in our district. It's obsolete. I can't get the repair parts for it. So the ductwork, et cetera, is in place, and the rooftop unit is going to be changed out. The rooftop unit sits, you can see it, if you look out the window here, you can actually see it up on the roof. That's it up there. So it'll be a matter of disconnect, pick it off with a crane, put a new one up, tie in the ductwork, run some new controls that can go to the computerized system that's in the building now, and we'll be good to go.
Just out of curiosity, because I was just mentioning to Clara, since, I mean, I come in here and they're all round pictures, and I was thinking, you know, when the dinosaurs were around and my kids were going through school, everything was this rectangular thing. Is this the new thought process that the circular tables are more?
No, some like it. It's preference of the school. Some like this building and Ox Ridge and the middle school have round, and the other elementaries have the rectangular ones that fold up. So it's whatever the school wants. They cost the same. They seat the same number of people. There's no. This is what do they want?
Are they equally safe? Probably safer.
Absolutely. Yeah, made by the same companies. Sure. And this building here is going to get this same hallway lighting upgrade that the other elementary has, and that we're going to do at Middlesex. That upgrade includes the cafeteria, the gym, and the library, including all the hallway lights. So, and it'll have the same sort of payback and same sort of rebate from Eversource.
Mike, is the roof been repaired in the Mike?
That's the old one. The roof is been repaired in the library, yes, again.
Wasn't there a leak?
Yeah, the money to
last year
do the study?
Oh, yes. See, I keep you around, Mike.
The study.
The study.
There it is. Okay.
Those are the independent.
This unit here is a 1932 unit ventilator. We have no idea how long it's been since it worked. There are about 14 of them in this part of the building. And the newer ones are quite a bit larger. So the plan is to get the study money this year to have a system designed, which would probably be rooftop units combined with new units in some of the larger areas. And that's it. Now, it's on to Tokeneke.
Good morning. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure.
In the summer, winter, whatever it comes in for that upper level. So
It's really just recommended.
yeah, so it works pretty good. And then just to make it look good, we went all the way down. lobby up there. We missing people or?
We might have had some.
We might have lost a few.
I lost
And then we lost Sarah.
Most years we don't even do it.
We never, we didn't have these in years.
I don't think so. Mary sent me an email the other day. You ready to go? Okay, we're ready to go. All right, so at Tokeneke School, what we did, project that we approved and did, we finally got these things programmed. These are motorized shades here because there was certain times during the day where this beautiful space was not usable because of the sun glare coming in. And this takes care of that. It also makes the life of the campus monitor a lot easier looking at her computer screen from up there. If we walk down the hallway this way underneath the Tokeneke sign, last year's budget had in it to change out the lighting, and we changed it out to LED. Again, through that grant process, whatever source, but we also put dimming controls so that the natural light, when it hits this hallway over here and this lower part of the lobby, it'll dim the lights down to save even more electricity. And the parking lot lights out here are the original ones to the building, and we're going to change the heads out. We've changed a few out to keep them working, but part of the process is to change the rest of those out to become LED. And there's two things on this side of the building. There's 500 feet of fence that runs along Tokeneke Road, and it's in pretty bad condition. And we can change a couple fence posts, paint those posts, paint the top railing, and put on all new black fabric, and it'll help enhance the appearance of the building. The only other project that was done was we did some, when we retro commissioned the building, they noticed a flaw in the heating piping system. And we redid that this past fall, and that is now up and running. So if anybody wanted to walk this way, we could go through the boiler room and then out look at the fence and then walk around the building to your cars. Okay? Does that sound good? Okay. And that's Crow Schneider. He's the head custodian here. No, this is the board.
The lights are good, Sally.
Oh, no, that's in your camera.
That's, yeah, I'll show you that.
Oh, I remember what it was. Oh, okay, I'm sure it was not.
Okay.
Separate, and we've involved moving some mixing valves, etc. We moved it over to here, right here now. Redid the piping coming up here, coming over this way. Redid the piping over the boilers themselves. Put two additional pumps. They're little black units up on there. They've each got mini computer processors on them to regulate the flow. It's tied into our computer system, and it's a more efficient way of heating. And so that was done, and we also now were able to use one of these pumps that was one cooling, one backup cooling, one heating. The middle pump here now can be used for heating or cooling. So it gives a little redundancy to keep us running if something were to go wrong. And of course, this is all tied in with the generator and the boilers and everything else. So. So this is to the original Tokeneke school. And when they built the new building, they tied in down there by the entranceway. And as you go up, you'll see where the trees are growing in it. There's no real economical way to clean all the crap off of it so that you can paint it and make it look nice. The easiest thing to do is just to come in, pull the fabric off, put in a few posts as needed, and paint these black and put on new fabric. And it'll improve the appearance quite a bit. Up near the front, as you go up this way, you'll see there's some areas where there's damage.
Will you keep it the same height or go higher?
I think that height's controlled by zoning. The budget number is for that height. This fence? This chain link fence?
There's going to be fabric in it?
metal.
Well, the metal chain link is called fabric.
Oh.
I see.
But it'll be black to match the rest. Yes?
The chain link, is there anything to be better for the sound? Can we look into that at all, or cost, or any alternatives?
We never had an issue with the sound here. I didn't look into it.
Okay.
Because, you know, there's 4 classrooms up here on the second floor and one down here. But they've never complained about the sound being an issue.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike, is there any like landscaping stuff that's gonna be part of this?
It's not part of that, but we are looking into redoing the drainage over here. The problem with this is very narrow, and the truck's back down.
Unload for the kitchen. Oh, so they go on the...
They have the geometry of this road. They've got to come around the circle and then back up and come in. And they're, 102 inches wide, and you got an 8 to 10 foot.
So can we just repave this rather than wider?
I have to find out from planning and zoning what they allow as far as impervious surface. And then these drains here are all plastic, so I'm kind of limited to how wide I can make it. So as you can see, these trucks drive right over it. But the drain, the catch basin, and it's all plastic. So it's not really made for traffic.
And there are no drains on this side. Like, can you make it?
No, there's no drains on this side.
So you can make it wider on this side.
Hopefully, yeah. I can make it a little wider on this side and like maybe get 18 inches on this side and 1.5 feet on that side. And curve it. That is it. Unless there's any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lynn.
Thank you all for coming out, asking your questions and showing your interest. Appreciate that.
Thank you, 79.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
That's right.